Hello and welcome to Taylor Money Talk, where we connect history to today's current investment environment. I've added video so listeners can see. This is not some sort of AI generated program, so please excuse the humanness of the episode. This episode is titled False Abundance Syndrome, and it addresses the condition of what we call our money. I believe we are at a crisis point of a false abundance supercycle that is affecting our investments and our current as well as our future standard of living for us and for future generations. So, what do I mean by supercycle? A supercycle tracks a theme over an extended timeline of decades or even centuries. So, I am not saying that the world is ending or that the US economy is over, but this is something we need to pay attention to concerning our investments and the value of our money. I believe a false abundant mentality occurs when a society operates under the delusion that resources such as capital, energy, commodities, dollars, US dollars are infinite, despite physical or economic evidence to the contrary. This can often be fueled by artificial market conditions such as easy credit, manipulated markets, highly leveraged markets, unsustainable subsidies, and even temporary technological sugar highs, like what occurred in the late 1990s, early 2000s with the internet boom and bust. And maybe a little bit of what's going on today with all the attention to AI and the belief where that's going and the excitement around it. So I believe that multiple forces in our global society have absolutely converged at this time, and that it will have a significant impact on our financial well being. So, what do I mean by these forces? I believe these forces include governments around the world, major media organizations, large industrial corporations, financial institutions, and even the administrative agencies at all levels of government, local, state, and federal. I think that all these forces have come together to create a public narrative that has absolutely blinded people to the reality that there are costs and limits as to how much we can tax and steal from our economy and the productivity of ordinary people. There is a point where you can suck the well dry. To put it simply, there is not enough productivity in all of the world economies to support all of the wars, regulations, taxes, social programs, political agendas, and most importantly, greed and corruption that is taking place every minute of every day. 5 years ago, I thought I had a handle on how bad the greed and corruption was then and what was taking place. I did not have a clue. I have been shocked in the last year as things have been uncovered in the area of the greed and the corruption. I often wonder how, as a nation or a global society, we just put up with what's going on. When I listen to politicians talk, it often feels like, to quote the author Matthias Desmet, quote, it feels like insidious psychological process of mass formation of thoughts and actions, unquote. I had the opportunity to listen to the author when he spoke at Hillsdale College. He wrote a book titled The Psychology of Totalitarianism. That's a mouthful for me. And he describes a kind of group hypnosis that absolutely destroys an individual's ethical self awareness and robs a person from their ability to think critically. This is an excellent book on how mass hysterias develop in societies. And I see this in our elected politicians, socially prominent figures, and people throughout government. As it relates to physical monetary condition, the idea that we can just print or tax all the money we need for whatever purposes we choose is unsustainable and it's having an effect. It is so blatant that a new theory was invented by the academia and political structure called modern monetary theory, often referred to as MMT. And this has been pushed into the public narrative by, like I say, the academics and the politicians that assert this notion that monetary resources are abundant with no limits. I saw this being developed about 10 years ago, and it became very prevalent in the last 5 years. And this theory is neither modern nor a valid theory, but it is used as a justification for endless spending. I am not making a political statement here. My point is to how this impacts our investments. So, some things we can do: we need to pay attention to our asset allocation, our risk assessment, and we have to be aware of what's going on around us. I observe, for example, how central banks have been taking delivery of gold and silver. I watch the value of the US dollar compared to other currencies. And I look at the impact of artificial intelligence on employment and people's lives. There's other factors that we need to stay on the right side of as these many changes are taking place. This has happened before in our history. Before World War I, the Western world lived in a state of globalized abundance. At that time, to majority of the people, trade seemed seamless, and the middle class believed progress was unstoppable. World War I didn't just destroy cities, it destroyed the idea of Victorian stability. I believe that this false abundance syndrome arises from the appeal of emotional benefits over real facts. We must remember that the rule book of the universe is written in mathematics, not in dogmas. So, thank you for listening. I'd love to know what you think. And again, as a reminder, this is a general discussion about history and economics and is not intended to be specific investment advice. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.